Perch doesn't assume a lot about your web server, and one of the things we don't do by default is rewrite all of the URLs of your website. This is for a couple of reasons. It means you can add Perch to an existing site without having to change the URL structure. It also means if you're on a server without mod rewrite, Perch will still work. That said, you can easily rewrite URLs in any way you'd like. And this information is very much for Perch. Perch Runway does rewrite URLs because it works with the front controller and therefore has its own inbuilt routing system. So this tutorial is very much for people who are just using Perch and not Perch Runway. So something we're going to do is we're going to hide the extension. So instead of visiting about history.php or whatever, you could visit about history with no .php on the end. So say your server needs to have mod rewrite enabled to do this. So I'm going to do a bit of copying and pasting here because there's some great long strings that we need to make sure are accurate, and you can get all that information from the notes that go along with the video. So here I'm putting the rewrite engine on. These are just 2 comments to explain what this information is, and these lines will take any file name that doesn't have .php at the end and put .php on if it doesn't find the page. So we can save that. And then we can go back to our site and test that it works. So here we've got our history.php, and if I knock that off the end, and we still load the page. So you now might want to update your navigation to output links without the PHP on the end. So we've got this about section navigation, which is on index.php and also in the master page template. So if we find where that is being put out, so it is, and if we add an option here of hide extensions, set that to true, when this navigation is now displayed, it won't have the extension on the end. Now we've done that on the main about page there, so if we go to the main about page, and if we click on our history, you can see now that that's loading without the extension. So you'll need to do that anywhere that those links are being output. We can also rewrite blog URLs. Now when we were creating our blog, we've used these query strings to load our pages, so these pages all load with a query string s equals and then the slug. So what would be nice would be to rewrite the blog URL so we don't get that messy looking query string, we just get a nice slug in the URL there. So we can go back into our htaccess file. And we can add a line for the blog. So what we're doing here is we're looking for something that's blog and then any text of letters and numbers, and we're setting that so it goes to post.php, which is our blog post page, with s equals, and then this will replace whatever was here to the slug. So as far as the page is concerned, it's still going to be sent a slug as the value of s, which is what our code is expecting. Now, so that Perch knows that we've done this for the blog, we're going to need to go to our settings. This is the general settings, and if you scroll down, you see this here, it says blog post page path. Now, at the moment, that's showing post.php and then s equals post slug. Well, we don't want that. What we want to do is remove all of that, because that's what you're going to be sending to the page, and that's what we're going to be clicking on. So if we do that and then save the changes, and then here's one of those posts, and we click on that, and there we go. If you look at the URL now, it just says blog and then the slug. And if you look at the page for this video on the Perch documentation, there's a whole bunch of other rules that you can add for your blog, so you can get nice tidy category links and tag links as well as the main post links all tidied up without showing any query strings, which tends to be how people want to do things. So you can do this for any of your content. You can rewrite URLs in your htaccess file. If you're doing a lot of this, you've got a lot of content and you're having to do an awful lot of rewriting, I really would recommend having a look at Runway, because the routing that's included in Runway is very, very good at dealing with routing to different types of content. But if you've got a simple site and you just want to tidy up the URLs, then your htaccess file would be the place to do that.